Hello, my nomad souls. Welcome back to another episode of Wise Expats, where we learn the ins and outs of living in Hungary. I'm your host, Juliana Cabrera, and today our special guest is Alitzel Guerrero. She is a coach, consultant for female empowerment, communication style, and mindfulness. Thank you, Alitzel, for coming today.
Thank you, Julie. I'm so happy to be here, and I love your channel, Wise Expats.
Thank you. And let's start with the first question. Tell us about your journey. How did you move to Hungary?
Well, in 2015, I was here as a tourist, and I love the city. And then I downloaded Tinder. Not very professional talk, but yeah, pretty much I connected with someone and we liked each other, so we continued talking. And I feel like it's not a love story because we didn't finish together. But he was mentioning that there is a university here called Corvinus University. He told me if you want to come back, because it was my time to go back to Mexico, my holidays were over, but we were like, we wanted to keep talking and meeting and seeing each other. So he sent me the link of the university, and then I emailed them like, oh, I like your program of marketing, your master in marketing. And then they replied back that, oh, by the way, we have this new scholarship also for Mexico, for Mexicans and third country nationals. So for me, it was like, really, this is a huge sign. And that's when I was like, okay, I will apply. So I gathered all the documents and I sent it in 2016. They approved. So I moved in August 2016. And that was kind of a dream of mine, moving to Europe. But back on the time, I didn't have the savings to invest in a like super big masters in, I don't know, London or Madrid. That's kind of the typical places that Latinos go. And no one was, not no one, but only a few people were applying for that scholarship in Budapest, because it's not popular at all, or back then there were no blogs. Like, it was 8 years ago, so there were no blogs or YouTube, like these channels, like now others can see. It's called Stipendium Hungaricum, but back then there was no. So I applied, I got accepted, and that's when I moved here. And then during those 2 years, I also applied for jobs because I wanted to continue working marketing and advertising. It took some time because some jobs they were asking me to speak Hungarian, and then I found finally advertising and media agency, and that was super cool. It's where I worked most of my years here. And well, we will continue with the other part, my entrepreneur part, later, I think. So that was it.
Okay, great. So, what inspired you to become a consultant?
Oh, wow. So when I was working in advertising and media, that I was still living here, I realized that in some of the meetings and in some of the gatherings, and when I started to step up into a little bit more senior roles, I was feeling so insecure. I think my confidence was a bit low, and I was not really good at communicating. So it was 2019, 2020 when I realized that. I discovered that I need to learn. I didn't know exactly what, but I started literally, I was Googling how to be more confident. And then I bought a Udemy course, like $20, because the first courses you get, you're always really afraid, like of paying online. Like the first, once you're in this world, then you buy a lot of shit. But the beginning is like, wow. And then so I got that, and it was so good. It was like $20 Udemy, and it was super good. And I realized that everything that I was doing wrong, and how I was downplaying myself in the workplace. So it was basically confidence in the workplace. I got obsessed with like consuming, and then I started also buying books, certifications and courses. And at some point I was so into that world that I was like, I think I want to teach this. So I reached a point of like, I feel when you're become a consultant, it's like, because you're a little like steps ahead, little steps, like not that much, but little steps ahead of like the persons that it's like your audience and your students. So I started to gather people here in Budapest. I was like, oh, I was looking for workshop rooms, and I was making my Facebook event. And then I didn't know who was coming. Sometimes were friends, sometimes were like really people I didn't know. And they were coming to the workshops, mostly when I was talking about confidence in the workplace. That was my own wound, let's say. So I started doing it a lot in 2022. In different. I was trying a lot of topics, also like mindfulness, podcasting, like a lot of topics. And then I was like, well, let's see what resonates. Sometimes I had events of one person.
Hmm.
Yeah. Sometimes I had events of like really bigger events, well, more like 30, 40, 50 people. But I just knew that I liked it. And then, but I was doing it parallelly with my workplace. And it was by the end of 2022 when I decided that I wanted to do full time and dedicate myself to the consulting world. I made some savings, and it was like that year also. It was a nice synchronicity because I got my Hungarian national permit, which allows you to. It's not, you are not attached to a company.
Yes.
So for me that meant freedom.
Freedom.
Yes,
Yes.
when the lawyer told me it's ready, because like I needed to be here like for 5 years, and then the savings, like there was so much preparation years before. But then when she gave it, I was like, wow, this is freedom. I can work wherever I want, or I can have my own thing. So I talked to my ex-boss, and I told her like, look, I don't know where this is going to, but I want to do this now. I feel I want to get better at delivering the workshops, and I feel I want to get better at being a business owner. And the only way you get better is devoting a lot of hours to that.
Yes.
So I feel that's what I want to do nowadays. And it's been 2 years, but I still think the same way. Like I really want to practice and practice and practice. So that's how I became into this consulting world and with my own business.
Great. Wow. You're very brave to quit your job.
I was freaking afraid, like super. It was 2 years ago, well, a little bit more, but I remember October 2022. It was my first month, and I felt super lonely and super like because most of my friends were in their own
Corporate
in the
world.
corporate world. That time also the inflation. Well, those years it started to go crazy. The war, everything was like super scary, and then I took that. But I think it was more like, if it's not now, then I won't do it again.
Yeah.
And I think I saw also some patterns. Like I saw some opportunities like within my team. Back then I was working in the marketing team in Roche, and I saw that we were hiring a lot of people. Back then we were 5 people, and today it's been 2 years. Now there are 250 people because they moved everything from Switzerland to Hungary. So I was like, I can go back. And my boss told me the same. She was super nice. She told me like, look, do your thing, and if you cannot make it, come back, and and you will find a place. So I think that was very like gave me the strength, but also like knowing my skills. Like I knew, because I learned a lot of marketing skills, and I was like, even if you put me in the team of like the Facebook ads, I will sort that out. And I think that was a really nice attitude of I will sort it out. But I haven't gone back to corporate, and I hope I won't. Yeah, of course there are like ups and downs in business, but yeah,
it's normal.
yeah.
Okay, so in my book, as an introvert, I talk that when I face moving abroad, helped me to, let's say, work on my fears and enhance my communication skills. So, as you as a coach, what advice could you give to somebody who is introvert and wants to enhance or improve their communication skills and speaking skills?
Yeah, definitely moving, and moving abroad takes you out of your comfort zone, so you learn to do the things by yourself, for yourself. So that was the first big change in my life. I was 24 when I moved here, and I think the other was when I was exposing myself to bigger audiences. And I think that would be the advice. I don't consider myself full on introvert. I feel I'm somewhere in between. So I'm an introvert for Latino standards. I'm an extrovert for Central European standards. But I feel it was like the ladder of exposure. So it can start like small. So for introverts, they can, if they have a message they want to communicate, or if they want to start also their workshops or their communities, I think you can start super small, like really baby step, like just with one-on-one, and then a little group, like 5 people, like mastermind, or like a little group. And then once you become better at communicating, you can do it in bigger crowds. But I feel like jumping to a bigger crowd, it's so scary. I think that's the ultimate, like public speaking to bigger crowds, that's kind of the graduation of the communication. I cannot think of something else. So like they can start smaller, and for example, how we started also online, no? Like now you have this platform, like it's video podcast, that's also very scary. But at the beginning, how we started, well, with an Instagram post, with writing, so like you don't expose yourself that much. But then once you're doing it for a long time, then the next step is
It's a video.
exactly, it's a video or a picture or a short video, and then this is the biggest. And I think after this, for example, would be like to go live, and then your TED talk.
Yes.
No, that's for me. That's like, and of course, if you just think about from not doing anything to thinking about a TED talk, it feels so big that you will be scared and overwhelmed, and you won't do it. So then just start with a little something, and in a safe space too. So there are some safe spaces here where I also practice, like in Inspire. It's a community. I started bringing my workshops there, which it was like familiar faces. Everyone is also, it's friendly. They are into meditation, so like they were not having these judgy vibes. And then after exposing myself there, then I felt more ready to go to other audiences. But still, I feel I'm not a super huge crowd, random people type of person. I feel like that's my introvert side, that I also don't want to be with complete strangers all the time. I also like my safe spaces, and I think you can find that balance between like getting out of your comfort zone, but also having your safe space with your close people, like we're doing now. No, like we are, when we record together, it's not that scary because we know each other. We have helped each other with our business, with our dreams, or when we also deliver the workshop together. So we did it together, so it was less scary. So how can you make it easier for yourself?
Okay. Nice. In your YouTube videos, you talk about 4 archetypes for public speaking. So, can you please explain more about it and how introverts can relate to this? Or
Okay.
it depends on the person. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So I learned in the corporate world personality test called DISC. So DISC. And it was so useful to find your communication and your leadership style. And then I was like, what if I bring this into a more communication or entrepreneur world with like more woo-woo words? Like I love the word archetype and all that. What if I bring it? So then I started studying all the types and kind of landing it into communication. So there are 4 types. The first one, it's a more rebel type. It's more like Tony Robbins type, like super high on energy. I like to call them like the rebel soul. It's like the ones that would jump on the stage or dance on the stage. They tend to be like that. They like to cause a transformation in their audience, or yeah, on the stage. And those tend to be super extrovert.
Yes.
Which yeah, I used to think like I wanted to be like that, like Tony Robbins type, but then I realized like it's so fake. That's why it's important to know your archetype. And then the next one is more like the inspirational storyteller. That's also a little bit extrovert, but it's less energetic, and they inspire through their stories. So then when they bring their stories and when they share it with the crowd, it's like yeah, people can relate to the stories, they are inspired through them. The third one, and this is mine. Well, I'm in between too, but this is more like the spiritual one. So this is a little bit more introspective. It takes more silence and more pauses. So like it's not that fast, not that loud, not that energetic, but it's very profound. So those are more like the spiritual teachers. Like you listen to them and they speak slow, but you are like, wow, they speak so nice that you want to listen them more.
And you connect with the story.
And you connect with the story.
Yeah.
So that's also kind of the storyteller type, but it's a little bit more introspective. So it comes from a profound reflection. And then the fourth one is more like the scientific one. So that's a more like they like to bring more analytics, more data, and they feel more confident when they bring that information with them. So that's tend to be more like people in the like nutrition, or like a neuroscientist or something like that. If you listen to any podcaster like that, that's their archetype. And you can have maybe two. So I'm between the two, like the storyteller and then the spiritual, because
Mhm.
I think it's my balance also, like introvert, extrovert. And then the rebel one, the first one, is the most extrovert and the most energetic. And then the scientific tends to be a little bit more introvert. But each one has their own charm, and I think that's beautiful when you find yours. I think, did you do yours?
Yes, mine is storytelling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're a storyteller, a little bit spiritual too, no? You
Yes.
also got some, yeah. So between these two, and I think for the storyteller, what helps a lot is to live their life, because you bring your stories. So like if you don't have it doesn't matter if you studied a lot, but if you don't live that for your own, you will feel a little bit insecure because you didn't live that, you didn't experience that. It's not your own story. So each type has their own kind of support, or like the things, they if they bring it, then they will feel more confident. In this case, it's your stories.
Yes.
In the case of the spiritual soul, it's more about the deep reflection. It's a story, but like she already thought it like really through, and it's so profound to her heart. So that's a little bit, it's deeper. And then the scientific, they need to bring data, otherwise they would feel insecure, even for a podcast or for a public speaking event.
Mhm.
And then I think the most natural, or the ones that it's easier, is a rebel. So the first one,
Mhm.
because they do it like they are extroverts, and then they can do it more like easier.
See.
But yeah, and I think sometimes we feel like that's the only archetype that exists, the
Mhm.
extrovert one, the Tony Robbins type. And it's like, no, you also see the monks speaking on a stage, they are super powerful. Then the inspirational storyteller, it's like Oprah can be, or Michelle Obama can be. And yeah, so like it's finding who you can relate with, and then just honoring that style, and
Okay.
not comparing and copying other styles, because it's going to be fake.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. In my book, I talk about how embracing your authentic self instead of comparing you with the
Yes.
extroverts can help you to have more engaging content. So, for an introvert, what kind of advice could you give to, like, let's say, um, try not to listen that inner critic or
Mm.
trying to sabotage themselves?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I think for that one, for changing the inner critic, it requires a lot of repetition of the new talk. So because the old talk, for how many years you have been like having it, like for many many years. So then you need to bring the awareness of like which are those conversations you're having, that they are not kind to you, and that they are just putting you like down. Sometimes it can even be conversations or words that your parents told you, or someone, like if you were not the typical type that you were hugging everyone, maybe they made a little comment, like, oh, don't be antipathic, or don't be like, you need to be more charismatic. And if they put you that label, when you are older, you carry it. And sometimes that's the talk you have to yourself. So of course it's a lot of inner work and therapy, but what helps me is also to find these spaces to create a distance and zoom out from that talk. So like that's not me.
Mhm.
And for me it's meditation and yoga, and I
Mhm.
also like to journal a lot and talk and walk a lot. So sometimes I walk, and sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm having these thoughts, and you can give voice to them too. Sometimes they are so harsh and so horrible. I remember I used to tell myself when I started my YouTube channel in English 2 years ago, like I was telling myself something like, your English is so bad, like, you don't, but I'm gonna say it as I used to think, you don't deserve to have a channel because your English is so bad. Like, who will watch it? And also, like, you don't deserve. The deserving part was very like repeating. You don't deserve because this is for people who are like super good looking. Imagine my thought, like horrible thought.
Yeah.
YouTube is for someone who's super good looking and who is really articulated. That's like black and white how I was thinking. But my purpose was bigger than that. No? So my purpose was like, I want to really have an online business and help others. And for that you need visibility. Like, there's no other way, right? So then I continue, and then with the time I realized that I wanted to change it. So it took effort to change that self-talk into more compassionate and kinder. So I started to change that for, okay, but focus on your strengths. I mean, you speak Spanish and English to an advanced level. Like you have freaking two channels, one in Spanish and one in English. Like who else is bilingual? Or, I started to be kinder. Like, or, like you're so brave. So I started to be like really kind, really kind, really kind. Meditation helped me so much, and also reprogramming my subconscious mind. Yes, with audios, because they bring you into the brain waves that you used to have when you were a kid. So like the theta waves. So like yeah, they put you into these, especially when they have these brain waves in the background. It's very like relaxing, but then they give you words. That's also how hypnosis work. And then so then you can reprogram what they were telling you when you were a kid, because you really absorb it a lot. So then they put you in the same state of mind and you reprogram, and then you come back. So I love reprogramming audios. I love them. They help me so much. So they are shifting the self-talk, cultivating a kinder self-talk to yourself. Yeah. And also talking to other people who are kind. Like, when we are together, like with you or with my other entrepreneur friends, we are always cheering each other up. Like, yeah, I mean, maybe this, I remember that you said like, oh, this video I recorded on Vertica and fuck, it was our landscape. It's like, okay, but the message was good. It's very useful. That's it. So like, if you have people around you who are like kind and who give you perspective, then that's so nice. Because then imagine someone will tell you like, yeah, that sucks, like unpublish it right now. It's not helping you.
Yeah, I see. So Alitzel is also my mentor for my YouTube channel and podcast on Spotify. And what advice could you give to an introvert who wants to start their YouTube channel and podcast?
Oh, okay. Actually, I would say that you can start if you're super 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 afraid or resistant to video, you can start your first episodes audio only. That's a little bit like a baby step, and then upgrade to video. Because also when in video, when you see yourself, so like you're judgmental with your words, but also with how you look. So maybe you can start with audio only. And if you want to start right away video, what I would say is like that's what we have been working to. Like, you need to attach to your vision and your purpose. So like, what's your purpose? Like, if your purpose is to help a specific person, like in your case, like your purpose is so big too, like your social impact, it's big because you are helping others to relocate and to start a business, and you are giving really useful information. So like, connect with that purpose, and just feel like the camera is that person that you are coaching, or that person like is in need of the information that you have. So you just think that you are talking to that person and forget about really the others. So I think that would be it. And also attach it to a bigger goal. So in your case, it's of course also to grow your business, but also it's to help others, and that should be bigger than the fear and the resistance. Yeah. And I think also like following others content that makes you feel inspired, but not pressured, because I feel like sometimes I used to follow YouTubers that were so good that they felt so far from me. So instead of inspiring me, I was like, no, I think I'm not gonna make it. For example, like native English speakers who spoke like beautiful English, I was like, no, I'm so far from them. So really, for me, it was really inspiring when I would find someone with an accent. I was like, okay, if this person can do it, me too. So in your case, if you're an introvert, then just find some other people who are, well, you are a good example. You're a really good example, yeah. And they can also see your first video and the evolution, because at the end you evolve. So it's just uncomfortable at the beginning, because you're not good. Honestly, we are not good at the beginning. So I also see my first videos and I'm really uncomfortable, but you cannot skip that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining today. I think this is all for today. Thank you, Alitzel, for your insights, for your patience, for everything, that all the knowledge that you have given to us. Yes. If you like this video, please subscribe, share, and then see you next time. Keep informed, keep wise. See you. Bye bye.
Adios.